Well, we're here with William Ehrlich with Intel Tech. And what do we have here? This is obviously contraption well beyond my ken. What are we looking at?
Well, this is just a demonstration of gyrostatic precession that generates a real anti-gravity or gravity effect. Okay, with the rotor spin in one direction. Okay, if I spin this, see the force is directed upward for an anti-gravitational effect, okay, acting against gravity.
And this is propulsion for flying saucers, I guess.
Propulsion system, exactly.
Okay. Now, is this...
Spin it in the other direction, okay, you have a gravitational effect.
And so that's what you'd use to control the craft. The anti-gravity helps you escape atmosphere. Gravity helps you land it so that everybody's not a charred husk at the end. I take it. Is that it?
That's right.
Now,
what? It's based on mass, though.
Okay.
This is a system that's based on precession of mass or a spinning mass system, so that generates a true torque.
And what systems do we have this in use in now?
Well, it's probably used in the blackout world.
So nothing that we're sure of right now.
That they're letting the public know? No.
Okay, but how about that they're letting you know?
Well, if they are, they're doing it psychically.
Okay, so in other words, we're not really sure that we got this thing pumping just yet. Give us an idea of what we're looking at here on your screen.
Yeah, well, this takes this idea, this concept of gyrostatic precession, okay, and puts it into this realm of a ship.
Okay.
Okay. The diameter of this craft is 40 feet, and what I have is shown in this diagram here are two rows. Okay, using an array of these gyroscopes.
Okay, the gyroscope's there.
And the idea is that I have one spinning in one direction, the other one spinning in the opposite direction, but they'll both generate, based on spin of the gyroscope, they'll both generate a torque force.
So now, are there any working models of this?
Well, I put together a model last year where the device lost up to a half a pound. And then if you spin it in the other direction, it'll gain a half a pound of weight.
Okay. So what did that do for us other than to demonstrate perhaps the concept?
Well, I think it establishes the validity of this propulsion methodology.
So what's the next step since we don't have a working model? By the way, what happened to the model? I guess I should ask that.
It ended up in the hands of Richard Hogan.
Okay, which is yes. So the original black hole, the original black hole.
It disappeared.
How difficult was it to create this device?
Well, not too difficult. It's just an engineering challenge, arranging these gyroscopes, driving them electrically.
Okay.
And eventually I developed a controller.
So what prevented you from creating another one since this one went to...
Well, I'm working on the next generation device.
I see.
Okay, which is an arrangement similar to this craft.
Okay, and this craft here, I notice that there's a Nazi flag on some of these UFOs over here. You're not getting Hitler from some secret Antarctic base, are you?
I think what I'm doing here is tracing the history.
I see.
Okay, of this technology, going all the way back to World War II and the Nazi Bell experiment.
Tell us about the Nazi Bell experiment.
Well, the Nazi Bell experiment, it was close to the end of World War II. And the Nazis have secretly developed what I think is anti-gravity, an anti-gravity propulsion system.
And why do we believe this?
Well, there were some records, some information about the device and how it escaped Nazi Germany towards the end of World War II. And it vanished after this incident.
Okay, so we have some legends, but why do we believe that it may be true?
Well, just the information that's been collected all these years.
Yeah, it would seem...
Researchers that have put together what the Nazis did at the end of World War II. I mean, that's all that I really have to go on.
I understand, but it appears then that they never flew, that it was just under development. Is that it? Because I think they lost the war. I did go to public school, but I'm pretty sure they lost the war. Yeah.
Did they lose the war?
Apparently, yes.
See, it's possible that they developed this technology down in Brazil.
Uh-huh.
Heard stories about bases down in Brazil.
Okay, so why isn't Brazil the most powerful country in the world then?
It was developed secretly.
Okay, it's developed secretly.
Secret program.
Okay, but here, take me through this, Bill. Okay, we've got Nazis in Brazil who have cutting-edge technology, anti-gravity machines.
That's right.
And Brazil has basically the gross domestic product of Prince George's County. Why does Brazil not control the world? That's the disconnect I've got there.
Most likely developed in secrecy. I mean,
okay.
Without the knowledge of the Brazilian government.
But for what purpose?
Well, the technology didn't find its way into society there.
Okay, so do we have...
Kept secret.
And so we have Nazis flying around in UFOs doing what?
Possibility.
Okay.
These machines are real.
So is that, do you think, what we may be seeing in the night sky? That Martin Bormann, 100-year-old Martin Bormann's flying around in a Nazi UFO? Is that a possibility? I mean...
Well, I think that could be a possibility.
Okay.
Since World War II. So, we've been seeing these craft in the sky.
Okay. Now, once you actually develop your model, and hopefully, I guess you'll get a working machine.
Yeah.
What happens at this point? Right. But what happens to you at this point? How does your life change? How does our life change?
Well, back in '77, I had visions of building this full-size craft.
Okay. So...
in a place in Arizona. We call this the Ranch Project.
Okay.
And it's a collection of scientists and engineers developing this craft. And I saw it in a vision.
Okay. And let's see, 1977, since then, platform shoes and disco have died.
Right.
But obviously the dream here hasn't. Why aren't we any closer to having it developed than our box here?
This sort of thing takes a long time.
Okay.
And I only started in this field about 10 years ago.
I see.
I attended a conference.
So this was a vision that you had years ago, but you actually had only begun working on it.
Exactly.
Well, what's your background, if I can ask? Wait.
I'm an electrical engineer.
You're an electrical engineer. Okay.
I write software for major corporations.
Okay. And so how long do you think before we go from here to here?
To here? It could be just a matter of 3 to 5 years.
And is there going to be some significant funding that's going to be required for that? Or
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's one of the areas that we're working in.
I see.
Okay, is funding this project.
And who's kind of taking the nibble so far? Or can you reveal your...
Yeah, well, we have a person overseas that's looking at funding. And we're also looking at funding here. We have another partner with me.
Okay.
And she's pursuing some avenues of funding.
Well, now, if any of my listeners find out that Aunt Matilda drops dead and leaves a couple $100 million under the bed, and they want to send you some money, how can they find you on the web?
Well, through this website over here.
Which is intelinc.com?
Yeah, intelinc.com.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be setting up a 501, actually a couple of 501c corporations, so that if people want to donate, to this worthy cause.
This isn't the send bill to Bermuda cause. This is where we're going to be building UFOs. Okay.
To build this craft.
Okay.
I mean, what I saw in my vision back in '77.
Okay. If I come back here 3 years and you've got a tan and no flying saucer, I'm going to be ticked off. But okay, Bill, thanks so much. I appreciate you being a good sport guy.